You're listening to Mornings with Ben Davis, filling in for Bill McDonald on Brisbane's 4BC.
Has your perception on building heights changed? In a world where housing crisis rolls off the tongue, there is a plan to add more than 1,000 new dwellings to the former Woolies site at Toowong. Yeah, you know where it is, straight across the road from Toowong Village. The plan is to go big and go high, and it seems the locals are okay with it. Look, when they're surveyed, less than half of them were against it. So, have your perceptions on building heights changed? 1338 882, and let's face it, when you're in the city, walking past the skyscrapers, the buildings, do you even know how high they are? 20 stories? 30? 40? 50? No, see? Thought so. You don't realise how tall they are. They're just big. I want to bring in an expert here to talk us through a potential plan for Toowong. A DA expected to be lodged in the coming weeks for the biggest transformation in this area in 4 decades. Malcolm Middleton is the former Queensland government architect and was on the advisory panel for the judging of the international competition to design what should happen to that 1.5 hectare site at Woolies across the road from Toowong Village. Malcolm, what is the plan for the site? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Ben. Ben, the plan for the site is very ambitious. It, as you mentioned in your intro, does involve some height, some tall buildings, but more importantly, it offers back a lot of amenity at the ground level through site links, large areas of open space, extensive landscaping, recreating the street edges, a lot of things that Toowong has struggled to actually provide over the last 40 years. Since your intro, you indicated it was a place that hasn't really moved much, and that's true. It's been 40 years since Toowong Village was constructed, and a lot of attempts to try and do other things, and nothing has really happened. So it's a moment for Toowong. It's a challenging moment, but a really interesting one.
An international competition to get a type of design. What type of designs came through for it?
Well, the 3 international practices that took place all produced a series of tall buildings, but the one that was selected offered not only tall buildings, they offered, I would say, very elegant tall buildings, but offered a considerable public open space component, and suggested also that not only are the ideas that are contained on the site important for the future growth of Toowong, the possibility exists to change some of the edges of the site, and that's a hard thing for councils to do, to think about, how one site might reach out to the rest of the precinct. But when you think about Toowong, it's got so many assets. It's got the University of Queensland down the road, the rail station, it's on the river, it's quite close to the CBD. It's got a potential connection to West End through the proposed bridge. So this is a city-making opportunity, not just for Toowong, but for the whole of Brisbane.
Malcolm, I'm glad you mentioned West End, because it's something that I've thrown up earlier. And to me, this is what it boils down to. It might be a very simplistic view, but you can go short and fat or tall and skinny. Now, West End, the buildings over there, there's a ton of them, and they're squeezed together, and they are the shorter but fatter buildings. If you go tall and skinny, like you said, that does open up that ground space. That's to me the trade-off.
Yes, it's a traditional problem. Height is always controversial, but I think, as you mentioned in your intro, our perceptions of it have changed, and part of the reason for that is Brisbane has changed significantly. It's not anything like the city that I came to in the early 80s. And part of the reason for that is that more people now live close to the city. There is greater density. And even though there is a lot of density in South Brisbane, in particular, and some in West End, many of the buildings are offering, landscape rooftops, good presentation to the street, creating vibrant, energetic retail components at their base, and good variety of commercial offering as a place transforms. None of that's really happened in Toowong, and the opportunity is there for a really big step up.
Malcolm, I like that you use the word dense. That's how I used to describe myself, not fat, dense. That's the that's the way to go. Malcolm Middleton is my guest this morning. The former Queensland government architect, so it comes with a lot of credentials. Yes, he's an architect, but part of the advisory panel for the judging at the international competition to transform Toowong. Malcolm, in researching this, I was actually surprised to learn that there is no such thing as height limits in Queensland.
Yes, that's true. The only practical limit that the city operates to is the flight path limit to the airport. But there are practical limits to building tall buildings that are not to do just with height. They're to do with lifting capacity, how many elevators can you fit in, how big is the site, physical construction time, challenges in building tall buildings. So, Brisbane has a few quite tall buildings, but it's got a lot of mid-range buildings in that sort of 20 to 40 range, 20 to 50. You do tend to notice those that are above about 50, but generally speaking, tall buildings are expensive to build.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, it comes down to the cost as well. And trying to mount an argument to say this is why we need this height. So why would this be good for the area? Let's sum it up. Why is the proposal here for three tall, slender buildings the best or optimal choice for this area?
Well, the other option is to build smaller mid-range buildings, and in doing that, they will use up all the ground space. You won't get open space, you won't get easily through site connections that are visually connected. And importantly, I think a well-planned grouping of smaller buildings will give an identity that's quite significant, important for Toowong, could be a real sense of pride for the city, but also it is unique and creates a place that has been wanting to be more of a place than it's proved to be over the last 40 years. So that's the trade-off, a good ground plane, lots of landscape, lots of public plaza, a really playful and enjoyable place to come to, and the city gets an identity that it's ready for.
And you said come to, and you've mentioned the West End Bridge. That's the thing. There is going to be a bridge, almost a landing there, isn't there, from West End to Toowong, another one spanning the river.
Well, if you look at the success of the Kangaroo Point Bridge, which I think has surprised a lot of people, it's a really good transition over the river. It's dramatically changed the way that the people in Kangaroo Point now use the city almost as a local store. That and the whole part of East Brisbane that now is within walking distance to the CBD, the same thing for West End to Toowong will be a significant uplift for both suburbs. If you're in Toowong, you can walk over to all the interesting things and parks and places and where come over, catch a train, go shopping, and just free them up from the peninsula. Brisbane's done very well with pedestrian cycle bridges over the last 10 years in particular. It's the nature of a river city. It needs to be connected, and this will be a very important bridge.
Before I let you go, Malcolm, is there anything in the plans about the traffic? I know High Street can be a shocker trying to get through there.
Yes, well, of course, the traffic will be a high-profile consideration for the council. There's obviously a parking component, but there's a significant upgrade to the presentation of High Street, traffic and the whole nature of the way the site presents itself, I think will transform the way people see Toowong, but traffic is clearly one of the big challenges that has to be addressed.
Malcolm, really appreciate you stepping us through it this morning. It's exciting times for this city, 2032 on our horizon, but transformation of a place that holds dear to my heart. I cannot wait to see it.
Great. Thanks for the chance to have a chat.
Malcolm Middleton, the former Queensland Government architect. He was part of the advisory board of the judging panel for the international competition that were designing ideas for that Woolworth site at Toowong. Have you been past there recently? Is this your backyard? Or even if it's not, I'm sure you drive through at the end of Corrie Drive, you're going down past the RE and you see it there.